My name's Eric Coleman. I am a estimator for Overhaul Woman Electric, which is part of the All Temp Refrigeration family. I guess from back in high school, I'd say I got kind of interested in this stuff, doing the estimating part by had an accounting class that I really liked, crunching numbers, trying to solve the accounting problems, math problems, anything along them lines, and it really made me interested in the numbers aspect of my job. When I was a freshman, I took Accounting 1, and every year I kept taking it. My school, and they offered up to Accounting 2 because that was the normal where people would take up until and then they'd stop. So I was one of the rare occasions where I took Accounting 3 and Accounting 4. So I took 4 straight years of accounting and really enjoyed it. I would really encourage people to take accounting. It definitely helps you out in the future. Out of high school, I had a couple of different jobs. It didn't really interest me as much as I was always interested in going into the electric field. Electricity is something that it's challenging. It's always something different. You got to think all the time on what could be the problem. There's multiple different issues that you could have. So I became an electrician out in the field for the last 5 years, working out in the field as going out on job sites, installing outlets or panels or lights, running EMT, MC cable, Romex, all kinds of different things. Within the last year, I've moved into estimating side of things, which has always interested me. It's nowadays I go to jobs, I look at them, meet with customers, find out what they're exactly wanting and needing, go back to the office, come up with a plan to meet their needs, and decide what kind of equipment we're going to use to complete that, and come up with a plan and a number for them to hopefully do their work. One thing I could be looking at a house on installing 2 or 3 outlets to later on that evening looking at a job that's going to require 500-600 hours worth of manpower. So there's not really a typical day. Everything just changes from hour to hour. The summer time is probably the busier time of the most cases. The winter time's usually kind of slower, but we manage to stay busy all year round. Skills, I definitely say mathematics is a huge one. As far as, we have to be able to measure out a room to do a lighting layout. You have to be able to do all kinds of mathematics, decide what kind of amp load you're going to have on things, what your full load amps on an air conditioning unit is going to be. Bending conduit is definitely a big mathematics. You got to be able to do fractions. You got to be able to obviously do addition and subtraction. I did not have any, trade school or college education. I learned all of what I do basically out in the field doing the work. I would say that's got its pros and cons. Trade school, I think, would help out a lot if you're going to go into the electric field, as far as knowing some stuff before you get involved. Obviously, with the electric, there's danger of if you don't know what you're doing, you can get hurt. So I would definitely say that a trade school or a career school would definitely be a good choice.
My name is Adam Greavy. I work for All Temp Refrigeration. Been in this field for about 10 years now, and started the interest in it back when I was in high school, going through mathematics, some of the physics classes, the science classes, and stuff like that. All Temp Refrigeration, we are a MEP contractor, mechanical, refrigeration, electrical, and plumbing. And what that is just a group of contractors where we have 8 or 9 divisions, and we work together as one company. We have about 100 employees, a little over 100 employees. And we do anything from residential installs from a furnace to a 500-ton chilled water system at a food manufacturing plant. The job that I have is an engineering / project management role. And what that is do anything from design work, where you meet with the customer right away at the beginning, understand what they want, bring it back, do the design, do the estimate, project management, and take it to them and give them delivery of the project. So it's from square one of what they want to the final piece where you give them the operation manual for how the equipment works. What Altemp does is with the HVAC side, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, we have sheet metal, we have piping, we have refrigeration piping, and we have insulation. And that stuff ranges from small to big. Piping from small copper to big carbon steel or stainless steel pipe. Another part that we have is the engineering side, where we do our in-house design drawings. We can stamp them, and we put out a document where the guys in the field are actually looking at them and they're building from it. When I was in high school, I worked for HVAC contractor, Perry's Heating and Air Conditioning, and they had me started out in the warehouse where I was organizing equipment and going out on small jobs and install, and that got my interest going. So in high school I took math classes, I took hands-on classes too. So I took electrical class, a woodworking class, I was in ag, in the shop with welding and building a building, and we looked at blueprints and stuff like that. So in high school, those were the classes that I took. In college, I went to Ohio State University and got my bachelor's degree in engineering. There, I mean, engineering classes, you have anything from your math to your science to your thermo, your heat transfer, statics. I mean, just the full arrangement of classes. But the nice thing about that was when I was a junior and senior, they started directing you towards what you want to do. So if I wanted to go in the auto industry, I could have taken classes directed towards that. But with choosing to go to the HVAC field, I took further classes in heat transfer. Thermo, I took an HVAC class, took a small structural design class for steel and just buildings for if you're setting equipment on top, stuff like that. Took an electrical class to give basics on just power within the building, stuff like that. After graduation, I went down to Cincinnati and worked for a mechanical contractor. And for 4 years, I worked on their engineering team, their special projects division. With that, I earned my professional engineering license. So in the state of Ohio, I can stamp drawings, be the engineer of record for it. And moved back to Delphos, Ohio, and worked for Altemp Refrigeration. All day at Altemp Refrigeration, or even the HVAC, electrical plumbing field, there is no typical day. One of the best things that I like about this job is there's something new every day. There's, like I said earlier, you can do a residential project or you can do a huge industrial food plant. You know, there's the array of projects is incredibly wide open. Some of the hands-on things that I do is when a customer calls and says, I need whatever, I need cooling, I need heating, I need ventilation, I need piping. We go out to the site, we meet with them, we get a picture of what they want, and after we understand what they want, we start taking field measurements. When I say measurements, we make a sketch of the building if we need to, a sketch of the room that we're working in. We get the existing equipment, we take pictures of model serial numbers, we get internal loads of what they need, how much air they need, and we bring it back and we crunch all the numbers. We select the equipment and then we estimate it and install it. Some of the specific software that we use is obviously the Microsoft Office with Word and Excel. Those are extremely important. A lot of people overlook them, but we use those every single day. And it's important to have those skills because that is a presentation material that you are giving the end customer. Another software that we use is AutoCAD, where we do 3D modeling, drawings with the BIM technology, where we can actually build the building within a software program before it's actually built. We can lay ductwork out, we can lay electrical out, we can lay anything from the wall colors. And you can actually look at the building from a computer screen and you can help anticipate some of the conflicts that you're going to see, some of the design, I won't say flaws, but misses, or just you can foresee some of the problems that you're going to have. So AutoCAD is a very important program that we use. We also use Revit, which is a spin-off of AutoCAD. It's more towards the architectural side. For load and equipment sizing, we use a program called Trace and Carrier Hat, and with that we put in the type of rooms, the internal loads, and it helps us select the equipment to the best of our ability. Technology is constantly changing. What we're starting to see now is with the AutoCAD and the Microsoft Office, those are becoming integrated. We're seeing Revit become more and more, I want to say, advanced, where it's just the graphics. It's like a video game. It started off, Techno Bowl, 1998. Now we're at NBA 2K, whatever, 16. So we're starting to see those advances quite a bit, and the capabilities of those programs are pretty substantial. Another thing that we're seeing is tablets are starting to be utilized more within our field, where we can send a service tech out and he can enter in, he can fix a problem, he can enter in exactly what he did. We'll have a parts inventory that links back to our office, and we can make a bill right away. I mean, it's just, we can do tracking with vehicles. We can do, just the programs on the iPads are coming along quite at an accelerate as well. So technology, I would say, would be the biggest change that we're seeing. And controls would be another thing within the equipment. The equipment is becoming smarter with the capabilities that it can do within itself. Some skills that students need that I would recommend are to be in the HVAC field, have electrical and even plumbing, would be mathematical skills. And we see variations of adding an estimate together with dollars to crunching numbers for a load. We see calculus, we see basic algebra. So to have sharp math skills will take you a long way. Another important thing that I see and that I recommend you have is communication skills. It is extremely important discussing with people, that the customers, your employees, your co-workers, whoever that may be. The communication is important. That will take you far. And people skills. People skills is important too, because you work with the owner, you work with the accounting department, you work with your co-workers, and you have to be able to understand and their needs and be able to talk to all of them.
I'm Dustin Pullman, work for Energize Engineering, a division of All Temp Refrigeration. Went to high school at Delphos St. John's. Out of St. John's, I went to the University of Dayton. Decided I wanted to get into mechanical engineering. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with mechanical engineering. I felt like it was a pretty broad degree that could give me a lot of options. So went into mechanical engineering at UD. While I was there, I started to learn about energy efficiency and just ways to be smart about our energy use, save money on utility bills, things like that. So after school, had the opportunity to come back, join the All Temp Refrigeration family of companies, started Energize Engineering, and essentially what I do is go to homes, go to businesses, and help people figure out ways to reduce energy usage, ways to save money on electricity or gas bills. So if somebody does have high costs, high usage, they get a hold of me, I can come out and help them figure out how to do things better. For example, if I'm going into a home, or if anybody in my industry is going into a home, essentially we're looking to figure out how much money these people might spend in a year on certain things, and then what are the biggest chunks and how can we look to save them money. And there's a bunch of different equipment I use, something called a blower door, which checks the tightness of a house, something called an infrared camera, which essentially can look at a wall and determine if there are areas that are hot or cold, insulated or not insulated. All stuff that I partially learned in engineering school, but then took some classes outside and picked up some of those skills as well. To be in my field, you certainly don't need an engineering degree, especially on the home side. A lot of people do get into this field just straight out of high school or anything like that. Especially doing homes, going out and looking for ways to reduce energy usage in homes is something you could get into without the engineering background. But I will say it certainly helps me in my job. And then to be able to get into the bigger facilities, an office building or a manufacturing facility, that's really where the engineering side of things comes in. So a pretty wide breadth of options in what I do. We do have 3 other divisions. So we've got our main office here in Delphos, but we are located in Lima and Van Wert and Findlay. So we cover a large area, a large chunk of Northwest Ohio, even traveling outside the state sometimes to do some work. We may be based right here in Delphos, not necessarily the biggest of towns, but we cover a large area, cover a lot of customers, and go a lot of different places, get to meet a lot of neat people doing the contracting type of business. I guess really to start with engineering, if you're going to go into engineering, what made me start to think about it initially was certainly being strong in the math classes I took. That's probably the hardest portion if you're going to go through engineering. I had an interest in the science side of things, so often when we talk about reducing energy usage in a home, we call it building science. It's understanding how heat travels through a home, the science side of it as well. So I think what got me kind of interested in this field was just a curiosity for how all that worked and wanting to learn more about it. So I think more than anything, if you find that there's a particular area that you're a little bit curious about and maybe want to learn more about, that might be the direction that you want to follow. On the energy side of things, software is a big one. So it would take a long time to go into every home and do a custom written energy report for every single home. So there's softwares out there that essentially allow me to do that. I plug in what information I find in a house and it does all the calculations behind the scenes. I don't need to understand exactly how that software works, but I need to be able to use those tools. Even in what I do, the infrared camera, for example, it's a very technical device. I don't need to know everything about how it works, but I need to be able to read out the information from it and understand what it's telling me. So as much technology as I can use, it just makes it easier, faster. It gives the customer better information. I think whether it's the energy side of things, if you have an interest in reducing energy usage and helping people find ways to save money on energy bills or things like that, I think you have a lot of options, whether it's to go the engineering route like I did, or to find a place to work and get into it and get experience that way. I think just, again, if you can feel out your interest and what you might want to do, maybe engineering is right, and maybe going out and doing the work and getting some experience directly in the energy field possibly, or even in a side field like heating and air conditioning, or some other contracting field that could eventually lead into a link with something like what I do.
Hi, my name is Chris Monin. I'm a mechanical engineer for Garmer Miller Architects and Engineers in Minster, Ohio. And I design heating, ventilation, air conditioning, or HVAC, and plumbing systems for school buildings, office buildings, you name it, many different types of facilities. When I was in high school, I didn't really have a major interest in this particular field. I just knew that I was probably going to go and be a mechanical engineer. I had several friends that were going into that field. I was decent at math, not great at math, but knew that there was at least something that interested me. I really didn't get much interest in this field until I got into college, and as most college students, I was looking for a job to make money, and I found a job in this industry. And once I started working for that particular company, I found out that I was interested in this, and it was something that I found very intriguing and thought that I could make a career out of it, and here I am 20 years later still doing it. And what I find the most interesting about this particular business is the fact that you get to see the product when you're done. You can walk into the building, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can see it, And it's pretty rewarding to drive by and say, yeah, I helped design that building, and then go in and you feel the air conditioning, you feel the comfort, you use the plumbing system, it works. So it's very rewarding from that aspect. And then when you see a old dilapidated building that you've helped renovate, or you build a brand new school building for a particular client, and to see where the students came from to where they go, it's very, very interesting and very intriguing to see how you can affect and reward people's lives by the designs that you participate in. So for me, a typical day starts around 8 o'clock. 8 to 5 is our normal business hours. And my normal day consists of running several different programs that we use in our design process, from AutoCAD, which is a drafting tool, Excel, Word programs. We have to write specifications. A specification is basically a Bible to tell the contractor what type of products to install in a particular building. The AutoCAD, the drafting tool, that's what we use to lay out all the piping, all the ductwork, all the systems that will be used to transfer the water and or air conditioning throughout a building. So the AutoCAD tool is probably one of the ones that is changing the most in the industry right now. There's another program that's called Revit. It's by Autodesk, which is who also makes AutoCAD. But Revit is a 3D tool, 3D version of Autodesk. And doing everything in 3D makes it so much easier for all the clients to feel and see. I mean, you can basically walk into your room. When you look at a piece of paper, that's considered a 2D drawing. It's really hard to grasp the breadth, the width, the depth of casework and fixtures and things like that. In 3D, you get the feel for that. You get to see everything. You get to see how big the desks are, and a teacher, it works great for them because now they can really see their storage. They can see how everything meshes in their classroom. You can spin all the way around in the classroom and you can see the whole 360-degree feel of it. And another thing that is starting to become pretty big is the interactive, where you put on the goggles and you walk into the space, and so when you spin around with the goggles on, you really see everything that is in there. So those are some of the tools that we use on a daily basis, and a big part of our job is coordination. So if I'm trying to run a piece of ductwork through a particular part of the building, I have to coordinate with the electrical designers to make sure that I'm not hitting their lights. I have to coordinate with the structural engineers to make sure that my ductwork fits around the beams. And then I also have to coordinate with the architectural department to make sure that the ceiling heights will accommodate what I need to run through that particular space. So a big portion of it is kind of teamwork / coordination. And that's one of the harder things to get used to, because everybody wants to just sit at their desk and do their design, but they got to remember that what they're doing also affects other parts of the building. So coordination is a big part of it. One thing that I did in high school was a drafting class. Now granted, this was 20 years ago, so AutoCAD wasn't really prevalent at that time, so the drafting we did was hand drafting. However, that still gave me the basic concepts of what I use today in AutoCAD. I believe most schools nowadays offer some type of a drafting class, and I would highly recommend, if you're interested in any type of field that deals with architecture or engineering, that you take drafting classes. And then if you can get into the Revit or some type of 3D, you're going to be way ahead whenever it comes to finally getting into the field. Another thing that I wish I would have done is work in the industry. Granted, as I mentioned before, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I graduated from high school, but knowing what I know now, I wish I would have taken a summer job working for a mechanical engineer, learning some of the tricks of the trade and how they install the systems. To me, that is extremely valuable information, and I think it would make me a better designer.